because the that I think everything is like, because we use it a lot with like the writing, the articles, coming up with ideas, just everything, and then we just change it. But it's a lot easier to get it started. But like we had talked about is, man, there's so many programs that are keeping track and reminding you of stuff, but everything I see it is as the business owner, it shouldn't affect you as much as it does your office personnel. Like for someone sitting at the desk or doing like with Ryan right now, writing up the bids and proposals. So whoever he hires to do that, the AI would be able to complement that and make it a lot easier.
Right. The one
Well,
thing is like 10 pages. So I had to scan in 10 pages and then put it in the Dropbox that they have online. They have an online portal and drop it in there. And so, okay, how fast is your scanner? I mean, because it's 2 o'clock, it freezes you out. It's a timed bid. It's not like you get
yeah,
it in type of thing. So it was more of a learning thing. And I'm like, oh, okay. And you can put your bid in, and up to 2 o'clock, I called the lady afterwards. I go, I should have just put a bid in and took it back out, but they didn't. I didn't think about that till later. And the lady goes, yeah, you're supposed to be able to put anything in and take your bid back out if you want to pull your bid or anything before the bid time,
yeah,
or you can put a new bid in and type of thing. So it was a learning experience.
yeah. Uh, hey, do you know anyone at the office or the municipality that's going to be who's looking at the paperwork when it comes in? Uh,
Um,
government wise, I don't know. It's like it ain't based on money. I mean, everything is still like favors, and there's just no way around that. So no matter where you're at in the business and politics, it's supposed to be taken out, but at the same time, it still isn't. It's like it just if your
no,
friend's running bids, it's like you may even tell him, say, hey, Glenn's coming in at 260 grand, 260K for such and such and such. You got to come in at least that, so I can have a reason to give it to you.
no, they don't have that. What it is I'm trying to look in my email now. It's a name. Dang it. It's public, and a lot of municipalities across the country, they're United States wide or U.S. wide. And I'm looking, darn it, where's it at now? Just and how you attach it, and then right at 2 o'clock, it goes right to a Zoom meeting. You can click on a Zoom link in the documents, and it pops, and everybody can attend. There was like 12 people attending, and they just pull it right off they pull it right off and read off what the bids are right away.
Wow. And well, this is your first one. So were you on the Zoom meeting?
Yeah, I was on the Zoom too, so I knew where all the bids were and everything.
Where'd you come in at? Middle?
A middle high. We wanted to be. It was the tower companies were low.
Yeah.
So 2 towers, we had that subbed out, and that was the majority of the job. That's the
Yeah.
killer. So, but I thought we'd try it and then at least get an experience on how to do it with handing in a bid and stuff like that.
Yeah,
So,
no, that's like that's priceless. One, just learning that, but then two, just getting your name out there. So even if you lose the first 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 bids, they keep seeing your name. I mean, this dude's always here. He's always in the, like something, and people starting to know you as, hey, you didn't get this one, but something comes up. It's just, I mean, it's a way of marketing and just branding so that you're always being seen anyway.
but the other thing is if you don't bid, you don't get potential sub bids too.
Yeah,
In that, it's as much as both ways around. What we've seen is like, oh yeah, he's bidding, and maybe there's some subs we don't even know about, but they know, oh yeah, they've been bidding. And instead of just one time around, it's like, I haven't seen you guys around in a while. What, are you guys bidding it or not? And that type of thing there. So that's the thing, and that's the neat thing about it now, though, is we don't have to drive and hand in a bid
yeah,
in a parking lot or have somebody here. We can do it right in front here, and we don't have to do it. And it's an hour away. The city's an hour away.
yeah.
So easy. It just a little bit of time figuring out how to do it. It's called public purchase.
Public purchase. I mean, and it makes sense too, because if I don't know, like even if there's three or four people making the decision to award the bid to someone. If I was on that team, I'd be a little hesitant to award it to someone I've never heard of, and it's the first time bidding. Like, hey man, where's these people from?
No, you had to supply a list of like 3 to 5 jobs that you're equal to that there, and then make sure that like a thing there, and it goes before city council. They
Yeah,
recommend, staff recommends it, and then city council awards it. Anything over like 25,000, and this was almost in the $1 million range.
yeah. Hey, Glenn, are you doing everything in the office, or do you have an office personnel?
I have half sometimes office personnel, but mostly I do a lot of it myself, and
Yeah,
my brother handles the field more.
yeah. So you are the office personnel.
Pretty close, and if it wasn't for electronics, I'd have to have 2, 3 people.
Yeah.
And
No, because that's like even with Ryan, everybody. I mean, I tell everybody, even if you're a framer, if a one man show, I tell them even before you hire a helper, hire someone to run the office. It's like, man, it's just because you can't do it all. The office is probably almost more important than the guy doing the work. It just you can't like work all day and then go back to the office and try to do everything, and just it's the first person you need to hire is an office manager.
yeah, I remember my dad, because his yard and office, we had 6 acres, and so his shop and office was in our yards. But that was the whole thing. Half of it was he had the house, and then he had a separate spot with the shop and office and everything.
Yeah.
So it was always around. You're always around, kind of thing. So no, now we have a separate office from our house. We have 6 acres all set up and stuff like that. So shop and office and yard. So it makes it a lot nicer.
Is it the same place that your dad had, or is it your own place?
A totally different place.
Yeah, I was like been looking at 7 acres up in I guess the middle of California, in between Bakersville and uh, what's Bakersville, past Bakersville, Visalia, that area up near the Yosemite Mountains. But we were looking at 7 acres, still trying to put a bid in it. I don't know.
Yeah.
It just depends. Hey, let's get it. Did you get through 7? I mean, I know you got through 7, 8, and 9. What you take away from any of them? Because 7 is my favorite, the dreams and the systems. Because man, I'm just a systems guy. With just like Patrick, I believe everything has to have a system. It's the only way to be, and they need to be duplicatable. It's the only way to be able to step away and hand your job over to someone else and have it done just as good, if not better. So the dreams and systems, number 7, I just loved a lot. What was your takeaway?
Well, I had a couple. One was dreams. What are you aiming to get for your family? And I think that's always interesting, is how we're as business owners, okay, but then each of the employees should have the same idea too, but most of them do not.
Yeah,
And I guess if they did, that's, I guess the ones that do, that's why they leave and start another company or do something differently that way there. But that was one of the things I got. Dreams. What are you aiming to get for your family, you and your family, type of thing. And then another one is bad habits repeat themselves again and again because you have the wrong systems.
yeah,
And so I don't know, I've always been a pack rat, so things build up. So around the house everything just goes. But I was like, where'd that go all of a sudden? It's kind of like a junk drawer. You finally need it after 10 years, like, but I think that's the thing. There's the bad habits coming out, just the little things of tidiness. And you expect your guys to have a tidy truck. You should have a tidy truck or a tidy office too, and stuff. It
yeah,
just varies. And we're going into we're looking at a couple scanning things for everything that comes in, because of the old ways with either not statements, but paper copies from the field and stuff like that, is how to address them and stuff. Because when you do get an audit from, we've been through an audit and they're asking, well, where's the receipt? Did you pay sales tax or is it not a sales tax?
yeah,
And so sometimes you have to educate them people that, hey, it's this or that. And I go, that's not. We had one where they were Jersey barriers. If you're familiar with Jersey barriers, they're concrete barriers like along the freeway.
yeah.
That changed, and they had forklift pocket slots in them to pick up with the forklift.
Yep.
And I think it was about $10,000. And the lady kept thinking from the state, thinking, oh, you bought a forklift and you didn't pay sales tax. And I go, no. Drawings. I had to show the whole thing, or she's going to expect us to pay like it's 8.7% in sales tax. So another $870 in sales tax. And I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, and I go, here's this here. She couldn't believe it, but she did take that off, as part of the thing there. And it's just educating.
Yeah. 100%. Because like in that chapter 7 where he's talking about 70%, 80% of the businesses go out of go belly up, go out of business within the first 10 years. And man, I've known that statistic forever.
Right.
And I don't know, and I don't know if it's misleading, but I think there's a lot of guys that go into business that just they never turn it into a business. Like most guys, like even myself, for a long time, you get a contractor's license and you say you're working for yourself, so you've got a business, but you never get past, you're just a guy working. You're answering the phone, you run to the bid, you beg them for the job, they give you the job, you do the work, they give you the check, you spend all that money and then some. So you're always like looking for the next job so you can pay the next month's bills. And finally, maybe whether it's 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, you get fed up doing that, and the wife and arguing with the family, and you go and you just give it completely up. I don't think there's a lot, especially in construction, there's not a lot of people that start off in the beginning with the business mindset, unless they're buying into a franchise where they're showing up with 50 grand and buying into their systems. And again, when you buy into the franchise, that's what you're getting is the systems, how to answer the phone, how to do the bids, how to run the ads to hire people, how to, just interview them and the whole, everything. And I don't think in construction, most people never start off with the business mindset that I know of. I know hundreds of guys personally and thousands of guys over the internet, and they still struggle with it. They even when you show them a new direction, it's hard to break that mentality of going from wearing the belt, doing the work, to the business part.
Well, one system it's weird because I guess everybody has a different term of what a system's called. I think some system, what really is a system? And people, but I don't look at it. Sometimes it's just a habit or something like that, or it's a deal. But one thing we started this year is because sometimes when we were hiring, we were wondering if people could actually hammer a nail before they got on the job site.
Yeah.
Created a little thing in the shop with a couple sawhorses, and they got a toenail, a 2x4 into a 4x4. I just want to see do they know what a difference between an 8-penny nail and a 16-penny nail?
Yeah.
How many people don't know what it is? And then the different types of hammers people come up with.
Yeah.
These 30-ounce meatball hammer, we call them.
Yeah.
And they get away, and it's just like, hold on, guys, that's not the intent there.
Yeah.
Your frame going wild, yes, but that type of thing there, or concrete. I go, do you know what a mag float is, or a steel trowel? Or an edger, and nobody knew what the mag float and the steel, all that knocks down, and one levels the concrete and smooths the concrete. They got the edger, but it's those things there. And oh yeah, I've had 5 years of construction experience, or 10 years. I'm like, wow.
What did you do within those 5 years? Hey, Glenn, do you have any of that stuff written down?
On the field? No, we just got this year.
Yeah, because all of that should be in your owner's manual / employee handbook. But you're 100% correct, because I'll have guys, because in the wood flooring business, we're like a finishing carpentry trade. So guys will say, "Oh man, yeah, I've been doing this 15 years," and they show up with a framing hammer, like you say, it's the meat claw. I'm like, dude, no, that's not a finishing carpenter hammer. You missing something. Oh, you're leaving little track marks everywhere, and so immediately that they're full of shit.
Yeah, it's just that. And we were looking for one, and we got like 40 some resumes between Indeed, Craigslist, and can't think of the other one. And I think Craigslist has kind of gone by the wayside. It's in but it's just amazing, the ones that, oh, I drive forklift, it's construction, and I'm like, that it's not even in the thing. And I go, how do you guys even say? I guess it's just crapshoot out there to do it. It's just been a real eye opener. We actually brought in 5 or 6 people based off the 40 resumes, and it was just first we'd sat them down in our conference room and just asked them, go over their resume and stuff, and what's this here, and we had it's just interesting, various backgrounds. People have ran a company before and everything like that. It's just listening to them, and you just let them. The best thing I've learned is be quiet and let them talk.
Hmm. Hey, and you're right about Craigslist. It seems like those are the guys that are on crack or out of the halfway house looking for a job. Uh, just nuts. Did you get anything from Indeed? What is the other one? Indeed, John. What's the other one? Indeed,
Recruiter. And
ZipRecruiter. Yeah, ZipRecruiter.
but we did it a couple of years ago, and we had like probably 25 that offered less money and less stuff back then. And we got some better, really decent candidates. We hired one and really good, and we should have hired a couple more at that time. Yeah, but this time around, it's getting tougher and tougher.
Yeah.
And just
Well, like it sounds like you got a pretty good handle on it. One, just knowing what questions to ask over the phone. I mean, because we put together the whole system of like giving them a little bit of homework and what they've got a couple. I guess lack of better words, an assignment type of deal was send us this, boom, 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 and like, hey, read the instructions, two times or three times, and send us this exact, something. Because if they can't follow the instructions right off the bat, it's like that weeds out a lot of people just to begin with.
Well, that, or they email or call, and I go, well, send me your resume, because I had them there, and I go, well, let me see if you can even complete a resume of what good, bad, or whatever you exaggerated or not, but at least a little bit of work history, and go, okay, yeah, we'll get you one. Never get one.
No.
So if you can't, can you read a set of plans or drawings or anything? And sometimes we just go off the fly and thing. If sometimes, hey, we need this here, there's not a drawing or a print. Sometimes we do that. So we're also looking people who think on their feet, and it's interesting because in talking to other contractors, they'll cut the fat, but when it comes to good employees, they're going to do whatever they can to keep them.
Yeah. And that's like, I think like chapter 9, talking about hire the rock star type of deal is what you have to do. Hey, but before I leave chapter 7, what, that dream talk that he's talking about, and man, I used to do that in my 20s, 30s, and 40s, and really haven't over the years, kind of drifted away from it. But going back through this book several times, that whole 20-year, 30-year vision and goals and stuff, it's really kind of fired me up, only because I'm helping my daughter build this business, and we've got another guy that I've really been mentoring. I think he'll be 24 this year, and I'm looking forward to helping them, because I'm thinking, man, 20 years for them is going to be nothing. They'll be 43, 46, and I mean, they'll be in their prime. That's when you really start making money, is when you hit 45. So that kind of excites me, making, and which leads into like chapter 8, the whole culture and team. And and that's that whole hiring and what you expect out of them. And when we do Master Your Business, we spend a lot of time on the interview process, what you offer them, building that culture, like what they know. They come in, it's a company that's going to be around, because they know from the very beginning, whether they're brand new and never been in construction, we have the training process if they want to stick around, all the way up to where even if they've been doing it 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, doesn't matter. We start them from, our plan is to start them from zero and get them all the way up to, and give them all the knowledge that they need or want to start their own company and be able to do it in down the street or in a different city or state. And that's a big plus, for us, as the whole culture is. I want every person that works for us to be able to run their own company. Most of them, 90% probably, if not more, don't have any dreams of running their own company. And the ones that do, once they leave and run their own company for 2 or 3 years, come back and go, look, man, no, I just rather stick to sales and being a project manager for you. But that's the whole culture that we set up. And kind of like, there's certain books that we give them immediately. And the first one is Richest Man in Babylon. It's like how to control their savings and pay themselves first, and money, and God, it's just because so many guys get paid on Friday and need to borrow money on Monday. So much so that we stopped paying on Friday and started paying on Mondays. At least the money lasted a little bit longer throughout the week. Some guys didn't like it. Other guys, it's just something that they just got to prepare for. But giving them and it's funny that he says it in the book, and it's totally different, the kind of businesses that he's building versus what we're trying to do in small construction companies. But like the kid that I'm kind of mentoring, he's going through, he has access to my Audible, and and I've put all the books in order of what he should be reading and listening to. And he doesn't miss a beat. He goes through every one of them. We talk about them, what's in the book, what he took away from it, what's his next goals, what's his next steps. But we do it, I do it for him more only because he's like he calls me dad, but we do it with everybody, our subs or even our hourly employees. Is they go through the training and they've got access to whatever they want to achieve in the business world, even outside of the construction. I've had guys come in, their wife is writing a book, or they're doing some kind of other business that the wife is doing. They're starting a whole side thing. We try our best to help them and give them input and walk them through stuff. But it is that culture and the team building, which chapter 8 talks about, and that's kind of what you're talking about with the whole hiring process. Hey, Jen, do you guys have a employee handbook yet? Did I lose you, Glenn? Say something, Glenn. You're killing me. Hey, Glenn, can you hear me? Because I can't hear you if you're talking.
How about now?
Yes. Hey, so I was asking, hey, you guys have an employee handbook?
Okay, can you hear me now?
I can.
Okay, I don't know something happened with my phone because I don't have my laptop and I don't have a camera on my computer, so that's why I was using my phone. But okay, I missed the last probably 2 minutes of your talking because I don't know, my mic went dead on the.
Oh, okay. Yeah, just I was talking about the culture and the team building that we do. Like the whole culture for us is to help these guys, anybody that works for us, to achieve anything that they want in life, different businesses, any part of it. We can help them with their own construction company, all of it. Most guys don't want that, but that's part of the culture. And we want to be able to, like in chapter 9, where he's talking about pay as a rock star, we try to do that because like you said, even before we began this podcast or book thing, is you got to pay these guys, and you get someone good, you do whatever it takes to keep them. But I was asking, do you guys have a employee handbook made up yet?
We have a 3-page deal, and we also started an onboarding one late last fall. Like some of it depends on what they're doing, if they're more in the yard or in the field.
Yeah.
And there's like 60 questions, probably 25 don't even approach, but we got them just in case, depending on what they do. And that's really helped. But some of them are kind of like, oh, you're expecting more from us. Then it's kind of a thing. It's kind of like, yeah. But it helps with, starting on time. And I was looking because people sometimes, when you think about it, if you're going to a new venue for the first time, you're like, where do you go in? So it's no different than somebody starting the first day or even the first week. And what we found is it takes about, almost 2 to 3 years for somebody to get comfortable, really comfortable at their job. You know,
Yeah.
the first year is everything's new. Where's everything located? And oh yeah, the concrete trowels go back there. That's the wood section over there. We have a little spot for welding there, and the whole thing. This is where we keep all the small tools and stuff like that. Well, we need this piece of tool. Can you go get that loaded? And or here's a list of things to load up for the morning, guys. And so that's, but until you have that and you show them or somebody shows them, one of the guys that have been here for a while, and it can be about the fifth, sixth time it finally clicks.
Yeah.
And
Hey, Glenn, are you guys doing any like company meetings or holding trainings and like everything that you just said? If you if I was your business coach or something, like everything you just said, I'd say, hey, Glenn, immediately email that over to me out of your book. So I know, like, because I would want, because you've got all the best, everything that you're saying is perfect, but unless it's written down in like an owner's manual to where once they've been here a month or 2 months or 3 months, we hold a 2-hour training and we do this and that, like all of it. And that's part of the systems that we teach, but what Patrick's talking about even in the book. But for me, everything has to be in that owner's manual. This at this stage, they do this. At 6 months, at this stage, second stage, third stage, here's the training that we provide. Here's what they should know. All of that, so that if something happened to you, crashed on a motorcycle, ended up in a coma for a year, 6 months, whatever, your wife, your brother, anybody could pick up that owner's manual and nothing would miss a beat.
Right. And one thing is we do work for a lot of different companies that they have their own training in addition to. And so we bring that on when they're going, hey, if we're working at this spot, you're going to have to go through their training.
Yeah.
I mean, independent of anything other than, you know, you already have your first aid card, et cetera, down the line, you know, OSHA 10. So that type of thing there, if they don't have it already, most of them have it when they do come on board. It's kind of nice to see. But because we have a relationship with the local community college or that has a contract or a construction trades program. And
yeah, good for them.
That's where we get a lot of our employees from.
Yeah.
And so that helps. That builds up some of that beginning stuff there. And then we have dialogues at our weekly or monthly safety meetings too.
Yeah.
So we do a lot of outside training, what's the wording? Education or like traffic control, safety, et cetera. That's all off because you mentioned a couple of weeks ago about a certificate. Sometimes I think in one of your talks, what does it mean? But if your employees have certain certificates, you can charge more money.
Yeah.
Or certain levels of expertise, and they go, well, why are you charging that? Well, you know, it takes this much training.
Yeah.
And I was going to point that out, and I forgot to at that one time there when you're when we have certificates.
Have you ever thought about? Have you thought about reaching out to the local college and bringing in some of their students to your shop and showing them around and maybe doing something for a couple of hours of your own little training?
Well, you mentioned that because it's about 45 an hour away, but they just started one that's only they started a satellite one just like 10 minutes away, and they're just starting it in January. And one of our employees got trained out of the Yakima one.
Yeah.
And so I'm in contact with with the teacher there, and we're going to help with that house a little bit or help some things. And that's one of the things is to bring them over. But almost we don't do residential anymore. We used to do residential construction, and almost 9 out of 10 students, they have about 15 to 20 students a year or every year go through the class, and 9 out of 10 want to do residential. They don't want to do commercial.
Yeah.
Or industrial type of thing. And then every once in a while, then we kind of show them, because what they're taught is a lot of residential stuff. They build a house, part of the class kind of thing. And so that's what I want to get into later this year is go in and talk to the class, and then also invite them over so that they can see, because, you know, from their standpoint it is changed of what people look for, employees look for, especially in a tight labor market.
Man. And I think if you reached out to the professor, that whoever's teaching the class, and said, hey, man, like, do a little, half-day training, bring them out to to your shop and show them around, all of that stuff. And even, just talk to them and say, hey, like everything you just kind of told me is like, we bring these guys in who say they've got, 5 years, 10 years experience, and we'll say, hey, okay, what's the difference between a 6-penny nail, 8-penny nail? Let me see you hit this nail, into the 4x4, that kind of stuff, and then have them do it type of deal. Because man, if you see some of these older framer guys, man, 2 hits and that nail's done.
Right, and that's the thing. We've almost made a decision if they're not fresh out of class, or if they're 18 or 19, unless they're over 40, I'm not sure we want to hire.
Yeah,
it's just that type of thing. It's kind of a bad judgment but sometimes it's just a different workforce. And one thing, it goes kind of on to, I think it was in chapter 9, no, chapter 8, was it? He's going, it was in chapter 9. The average general insurance agent is 70 or 57-year-old white male that is not tech savvy. And then his and he only sells life insurance.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that until I read that. And his is 34-year-old Mexican lady.
Yeah.
Mexican American lady, and who's social media savvy. And so it's like, yeah. And it was also mentioned earlier in the book about immigrants. They're more hungry.
Yes, 100%.
First generation type of thing, and we see that too in the field and working, that they really want to work. They have a work ethic.
Yeah, they have a great work ethic, and I tell guys all the time. I said as long as you're willing, if there's no way, if there's not a language barrier, because if you take the time to teach them quality, they'll do it. They don't have the egos. They don't have any of that stuff. Like if you want them to do it a certain way, they're willing to learn that way. But they'll show up and they'll work.
Right. Yeah.
And then because even like chapter 8, when he's talking about you are the 5 people you hang around with, all that kind of stuff, which is true. My buddy Jim Rohn and stuff, we used to always talk about it. But this kid that's 23, going to be 24 this year. Man, he's never missed a day, always early, reads everything. Just, kind of hungry to be better in life, to where so much so is I kept bugging him. He was like, man, don't you got some friends? Like, let's hire all your friends. Because I'm thinking if he's got friends and the 5 people that he hang around must somewhat have his same work ethic or other stuff. And he does have a couple of friends, but he even knows he's like, no, none that I would want to come work for us, because he knows what I would expect from them, and I don't think he wants to be embarrassed by them or something. But at least it's a start, and he's kind of re-energized me and gave me some hope for the younger generation.
Yeah, and that's the intent of when they have their first class. It's supposed to be starting, I think, next week. Is I want to go over and talk to the professor and go and say, hey, some of the things that most of the people that have been through the class, it's the first time they've held a hammer in their hand.
Yep.
Or tape measure, what a 1/4 inch is. Yes, you can't be an 1/8 inch short on a stud. You got to be 96 inches. You can't have an 1/8 short, because the studs above, if you're building the second story, it falls down on the first story. It just keeps adding up. An 1/8, it's not close enough. It's got to be 98 inches, not that type of thing there. And so it's those things there, and that's what I'm excited about is the travel. And when gas was $5-6 a gallon, it was harder to find people that would travel.
Yeah.
And so, or we'd have a job 40 miles away one way, and then we'd go the other way. Well, if we hired the person that was in 40 miles in that job there, but then they had to go 80 miles to the next job, it'd be really, they spend $50 in gas that day.
Yeah.
It was $5 a gallon type of thing there. And so you're like, oh, that's 15% of their paycheck just on gas.
Yeah. And I've asked a couple of guys, and I don't know if they do it, but I've told guys, contractors, that if you have a small warehouse or an area to where you can hold a couple of classes, maybe one every quarter, but even if you're just a cabinet guy or a painter guy or a floor guy or an electrician, or you can get together with 2 or 3 other trades and run almost some free marketing, run Facebook marketing, but you can go to the high schools, the local colleges, to where you can find some of the younger guys that are wanting to learn about different trades. And I'm telling you, once a quarter, if you have the room, man, you can bring them in. You can tell them the stuff that, like you're saying right now, what contractors, what business owners are going to look for and ask for, and how attitude is a lot of it. But you can show them, like, whether it's an electrician and running some wire and cutting stuff, and or painting or framing or cabinets, all of that stuff, and you get to find out which one of these 17-year-olds, 18-year-olds, 20-year-olds who may want to go towards the construction. Because, man, I got to find the website, but Home Depot is running something right now to where they're doing something similar to that. And I forgot what it's a pretty good name, .com. Because me and my wife are looking at it going, I said, man, good for Home Depot, because they know that we're running out of young men to do the trades.
Right. Yeah. Have you read the book Profit First, or heard of the book Profit First?
Yeah, I love the book. What I don't like is the fact that he doesn't give any credit to the book I just told you about, The Richest Man in Babylon, because it's all the same principles. You just instead of applying them to your personal finances, you apply that same book to your business finances. But it's still a great book, and most construction guys never get past the finance part of it. It kills me.
I was just surprised when the one thing that always stood out to me. I listen to the podcasts every once in a while that he has on, but that only 83% of the companies are living paycheck to paycheck, and only 17 have money in the bank percent.
Yep.
And I was just like, my gosh.
Yeah.
Back to those when the statistic why 70% of the businesses fail in 10 years, it comes really close to those same statistics.
Yeah, we did back in maybe September, I forgot what, but we spent 3 months and went through my program, Master Your Business. And the first 4 meetings, and we met once a week, but the first 4 weeks is all about financing. And it's, and even again, me and my wife were driving around today talking about, is none of the money is like, because we started off like the same way everybody starts off. We got paid. If we got paid $1,000, we spent $1,100. If we got paid $10,000, we spent $11,000. It was just, we never ran it like a business, to where the whole first 4 weeks of Master Your Business is getting your finances, knowing where you're at personally, and realizing that you need to pay as soon as you say, I'm going into business for myself, or I have my own company, you now work for yourself, and you have to pay yourself the least amount of money possible, whether it's $40,000 a year, $55,000 a year, whatever it is, the least amount that you can get away with, you need to pay yourself, and all the money that comes in belongs to the company, and that company grows and becomes, fat cash happy, because you need money to grow the business. That part's true. You got to hire people in the beginning, like the office manager, sales guys that you may have to train, project managers, people who don't physically bring in money immediately. You're going to have to hire guys that you're going to have to train. So the first 3 months, 6 months, you're going to be paying them, and they're going to be costing you money. That all takes money. And when you're living paycheck to paycheck, and we did it, so I'm not pointing any fingers. I'm telling you, if I could tell contractors or business owners, and it's not just contractors, it's business owners across the board, is, man, you've got to learn to pay yourself the least amount of money as possible, and let the money grow in the company. It's like all the money that comes in belongs to the company. It's staggering to me.
Yeah, no, it just, and to see that, and I'm just like, I don't know if they just see it as a cash. They get a $10,000 check and they think, oh, I got $10,000.
That's how I did it. And all the guys that I know, and like I said, I age of 16, 17, that's all I've ever done is construction. Owned a couple of karate studios, but everybody I know that's in construction, no matter what the trade, and we all like went to happy hour together and hung out together and went to trainings together, but every one of them did the exact same thing. It's like they took one job, that job paid the bills, and if they had money left over, they'd buy some kind of toy, whether it's a motorcycle or ATV or a boat or jet ski, and then they'd be broke and almost looking for the guy that they quit call him up looking for work because they need money to pay the rent or the mortgage, and then they get another big job and get that big check and do the exact same freaking thing again, and just never grew out of it. To where, man, I could sit here and name guys now that I'm older, like, who have passed away completely broke, to where, their families didn't even have money to cremate them and get rid of the bodies, to where they never got the finance part of it, and it kills me. Hey, and that's kind of like the vision and capital that he talked about in number 9. Number 8, where he says, hire like a rock star, hire the rock star, pay him like a rock star. But to hire the rock star, you got to be a rock star. And to keep, the whole thing seems like it's this whole podcast thing seems like it's about employees, and it kind of is. If you don't have any employees, you don't have a business. But it really is setting that standards. You've got to be able to bring these guys in. To hire good people, you've got to have a company worth working for, which means it all starts with us. It starts with me. I've got to set the culture. I've got to be the guy showing up early, staying late. I've got to be the one, like, I worry about my fitness more than anybody else. I talk about the personal development. I'm the one reading these books, handing these books to these guys. I want these guys to do better. I tell them all the time, look, man, I never got through the 9th grade of high school. It's like, look at it. But that left me with a hunger to always educate myself more. And it's been through audiobooks, cassette tapes, books that I kind of read along with the audiobooks. And anyone that I've never asked them to buy a book. I said, hey, but if you're interested in this book that I'm reading right now, let me know. If you're serious about it, I'll buy it, whether it's the audiobook or the paperback, the hardback, it doesn't matter. I'm always, and he talks about that. It's like, you've got to set that standard for your culture. If you want to hire rock stars, you've got to be the rock star. And if you've got good guys, you've got to pay them like they're good guys. The best way to hire great guys is to steal them from someone else who ain't treating them right. And I know a lot of contractors hearing me say that right now, no matter when they're listening, it kind of chaps them, but it's true. If you're not, and I tell you guys, I tell business owners all the time, I say, look, man, you got to treat these guys, your employees, like they're some girl you're starting to date, man. You got to treat her. You got some beautiful woman you just started dating. You got to understand all these other guys are wanting to date. They're trying to steal that lady from you, and that's what the employees are. These employees should be trying to steal other employees, and it just raises the bar for everybody. Treat them good. They're going to treat the clients good, the homeowners good, whatever it is. They're going to show up early, but it all kind of starts with us. We start that culture. We set the example. We have to be the rock star to hire the rock star. And I don't think he touched on that enough. And you've brought it up several times without even saying it. Today, it seems like you guys are doing all the right stuff.
Well, the one thing I think he ends chapter 8 with, you can't build culture with remote workers.
No.
You can't. You got to have the physical worker out there. Versus in his industry, well, you can sell insurance from online or anywhere. You can do a lot more remote and in that type of electronic industry. But we're in the physical. You got to be there. And that's one thing I see in a lot of these books that they go, well, yes, you do have it. It's more on the backside that the internet and AI is helping, but AI cannot pound a hammer or a nail, can't cut a board, can't drive a vehicle.
It can't meet with the homeowner. It can't meet with the project managers. It can't meet with the interior designers, the architect. Man, that personal relationship will never be, taken over by AI.
Right.
With vision and capital, I'm still grappling with the vision. It's a lot of people hear the vision and think kumbaya and all the other stuff, but man, it's like and I think that until I kept reading this book a couple of times, and I'm sitting there going, well, shit, I do it. I don't call it vision, but I really do. When we hire new people, anybody that comes to work for us, and the guys that work for us now know that we don't have a big vision of dominating, all these and becoming this, grandiose, hardwood floor company, flooring company, all this other, but we set the vision for them personally. I've always done that. And I think that's a big part of it. And now going through this book, I'm really trying to set the vision for what my daughter and her partner and anyone else, what they could really do and how big they could be and open up different locations. so I'm really, pushing that vision part more, just whether I call it vision or not. But the capital, I was, because you raise capital, and we don't raise capital in construction unless you're trying to build big projects or do other stuff. But I liked how he said capital is just another form of sales and hiring. And it goes back to the whole employee thing you sell that vision, and the capital is hiring and bringing on good team members and letting them see where you want to, how you want to treat the clients, whether it's the homeowner or architects or designers, whoever it is that you're working for, having that kind of vision, having that part of the whole mission statement of what you want the company to be known for, and having team members that understand that. I don't think that's stressed enough.
All right. One of the things is like, that 7 second, 7 second long elevator speech.
The elevator speech, yes.
Clear, concise, much like a movie picture as he's going, and is going, and because people ask, what do you do? And I go, we do commercial and industrial work, and in that sense there. And okay, but I was thinking, what's another? And we depend on who it is and what they're. I add a little more colored in that direction. But one of the things we try to pride ourselves in is we don't have a punch list. When we leave the job site, it's done. You're not going to come back. We go over with you and it's done, and we're going right down the line and it's done. We don't come back and do punch lists, because I've heard some contractors, they put 1% in their bid for punch lists.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, well, that's 1% that goes away from profit.
Yeah.
That's the way I look at it. And I go, if you address it, plus you got to stop whatever you're doing to go back and do it.
Yeah.
And that's the most expensive part. It's not the punch list itself. It's what you're losing to go back.
Yeah.
Versus, hey, it's all done and being addressed when you're there. That's one thing, is what's the catchy phrase? Because he made like a, why would I watch that movie or read the book?
Yes. Because we've taught the whole elevator speech forever. I don't know, 20, 25 years, but even through the personal development, all of it is like, because we think in pictures as humans. So every word, paints a picture in our mind somehow, some way. So that's like when we're writing that elevator speech, when we're doing the marketing, I'm trying to put myself in the shoes of the person reading it, making sure, because if I say a certain word, like if I say punch list to someone, if they're not in construction, most of them don't have a clue what I'm talking about. Right. And so it's all of that stuff. But if I say it to you, or if I say it to any of my construction buddies, it's like, man, I got like freaking 3 pages of a punch list. They're like, oh my god, so everybody knows immediately. It's like they know it's callbacks, it's touch ups, it's things we got to go back and fix that should have been like you just said, addressed beforehand. Because driving back, just the driving back loses so much money, and then taking the shit out of the van or the trailer or the truck and just unloading and doing all that and then cleaning up after you've done. I mean, it's just like 1% almost doesn't even cover it, to where if you've got God bless you, if you got systems in place where you don't have to have punch lists at the end of it, or callbacks, as some of these guys will say it, is that's never addressed enough.
Right. Well, one of the things we do is, like, we know the job's winding down and it's the last day or two. The owner or the owner's rep comes out and going, hey, this is where we're at. And I go, this is what we're going to do. And yep, it's agreed on. And most of it is either negotiated. There's on public works, it's a little different, or public projects.
Yeah.
But still, there's like, yep. And we always try to leave it better than what they thought. Like, oh, that's the best thing to have. Is, hey, that looked better than what I could have done, or what I even thought it was going to look. And half the time they go, you just figured out and how you want it done, and we're okay. We'll be okay with that. And they come back and they go, thanks.
Yeah. And that's like, because my daughter building this company is she knows how to run all the equipment. She knows how to do all the stuff. She doesn't do it. But I've told her what I said, what really is your job is a project manager type of deal, and overseeing and just, showing up on the job sites, meeting with the homeowners. I said, but the biggest thing, if I could teach you anything, is you have to be the most pickiest homeowner, meaning you've got to look at everything, 10 times closer than any homeowner will ever look at it. You've got to find all the problems before a homeowner finds them, before they even become problems. And if we hire the right crews, we teach the guys the right way, you don't have them. It's all taken care of. But man, when you're on the job and you're working all the time, you just miss shit as the guy doing the work, or you think you're going to get back to it later, or you'll get to it and then you forget about it. You don't do it. So you need someone like the project manager or her showing up and just, really kind of not nitpicking in a bad way, but I want her to find anything that's wrong with the job way before the homeowner finds it.
Right. And no offense to our guys or any of the guys in the field, but if they're looking, they're just so focused that sometimes they didn't look at that, and they don't look at it. Oh, if they come back the next day with a clean set of eyes, it's like, oh, I totally missed that. And it's not their fault. It happens to everybody. But
no, I can go back to any of my jobs and like you said, with a fresh pair of eyes after a good night's sleep, I can walk in going, damn it, I should have did this a little bit different. I could have did that more time, spent more time on that. I could have, any of it.
Right. Yeah.
One of my favorite quotes is Les Brown used to always say it's you can't see the picture when you're the frame, and you need someone else looking from the outside in to help you get you to a whole nother level.
That's very true.
Hey, anything else from like chapter 9? Because next week is just 10 and 11, which kind of wraps it all up. And I'm hoping like everybody will be on the call next week, but I'm hoping to get everybody to kind of touch base. Like it sounds like you guys are starting off and putting a lot of different stuff already into practice. And I'm hoping a couple of these guys are going through the book and going, yeah, I'm going to do this, I'm going to add this, and just really start, keeping track of things more. Because
I think it's much, you brought it up a little bit too, but it's much different looking at it when I'm 54 now than when I was 24.
Yeah.
I have a totally, my kids are just off into college now. And so, and my life is different than when I was 24 and single, and what I could do and how I can move. It's a little harder to move now that your roots are growing in a place there. It's not like, well, I'm going to go halfway across the country. I have no desire to do that. But at 24, and nothing to time down, it's easier. And so this thing of revisioning, it's almost like a revision, or another 20 years. And I think he had, and it was near the end of chapter 9, he goes, envision your life with regrets as a 90-year-old.
Yeah.
Or something similar to that. And I'm like, okay, in other words, don't have regrets when you're 90. And so that's the thing that I guess, is when I'm 90, I want to make sure I don't have these regrets. I think that's how I'm trying to figure out what I want to do now.
Yeah.
So when I am 90, whatever regrets I do have between now in the past, they're done, but it's going forward is I'm trying not to have those regrets.
Yeah. And I don't think he says it in the book, but I was at a 2-day conference with him, and one of the stories that he had told, how much he just, worships his dad, loves his dad. He never got to meet his granddad. And there's only a couple of pictures, and he's always kind of like daydreamed about certain topics and questions, and what would his granddad have said, and what would the conversation been with his granddad like that, because his granddad must have had a huge influence on his dad for his dad to turn out to be the guy that he is. And I'm not doing the story justice, but you kind of get sucked into the story to where, he turns it on the audience and says, and he holds up his cell phone and he goes, man, with this cell phone, none of your grandkids, your great grandkids, for generations to come should never have that. Even whether they meet you or not, you should be able to record and write things and keep journals to where even if they never met you, there's enough content that they would feel like they know you. Because if you watch my YouTube channel, like any contractors, like there's just no reason not to be doing 3, 4, 5 videos a day and putting them on YouTube about your business and just growing your business that way. But in all areas, and that part just really hit home. But he kind of sucks you in with that story. But it's that whole vision is to build, a business to where, man, it could last generations if you wanted it to. If the kids wanted to continue it. But most guys that I know that are in construction don't even want their sons to do construction, and that kills me. I'm like, man, how could you not? I'm like, and for me, one, because everything I have, I owe to construction is like it's provided us an extremely nice life to where when I hear a guy say, "Oh man, I don't want my kid to get into construction," I'm like, man, what would be better? What could be? I mean, there's certain things better, but the construction business can be as good as you want it to be. Whether it's man, like a buddy of mine, Jim Franklin, owned one of the biggest construction companies in the United States and just sold it for over $100 million last year. And all they did was restoration of commercial buildings. I mean, in his office in Long Beach, you went in there was always at least one lady, usually three ladies at all time, but one would be there even 3 a.m., 4 a.m. But they had all the police banners, the fire truck. They knew everything that was going on because when some kind of high-rise building or commercial building was on fire or the police was called, they would have their team members there with dryers and blowers and just not to get the job. They were there on scene first and to help with the cleanup and the construction part of it, whether they got the job or not. But, most of the time they ended up doing it and getting the job. But to where, he built a huge, you can have whatever it is that you want. And that's that whole vision part of it to where I wish more guys, in construction had that, especially the ones who have families. Whether it's, like shit, I never dreamed of my daughter doing this shit only because she's a girl. I'm a male chauvinist pig. I'm not deleting this. But as a business coach, I work with more women contractors who do far better than guys to whether, I don't know if it's their temperament, their eye for detail, the way they can talk to other homeowners, or they don't have the ego, whatever it is, they just do better in construction, and that freaking kills me. To where, 2 years ago when my wife came and said, "Hey, Danielle wants to, she wants her own hardwood floor business," and I'm like, "Why?" So I was one of the effing guys. If she had been a dude, it wouldn't even have been a question. She would have been doing the shit at 13, 10. She would have been on her hands and knees staining floors and all that crap. I don't know if that would be better. Because I tell guys all the time, it's one of my dilemmas to where I almost wish I didn't know how to do the trade because it held me back for so long to where I wouldn't hire guys to do the trade because I knew I could do it and I thought I was the best. And, I didn't want to give them money and to where I could put money in my pocket. And it went back and forth like a seesaw to where I would hire them and then I wouldn't hire them. And it's just to where, one of my really good friends, American Hardwood Flooring, this guy, Kerry, MBA from Chicago, moved out to California, looked around and decided, wood flooring is the business that he wanted to start. Had no clue how to do it, but had like freaking, 12 crews that worked for him. And I learned so much from him to where he's like, yeah, man, I don't want to do that shit, Brian. That hurts your knees. I don't want to be bent over like that all day. And I was like, to where in my mind at 22, 23, I was like, I had no clue how you could have a business and you didn't even know how to do, the hands-on work. It just, for me, it took a long time to click. So I think, now that I made my daughter learn how to use the machines and how to do the stuff, and she's had to do it all. And I did a lot of that, one, so when she's talking to homeowners, she knows what she's talking about. But two, I told her I really wanted her to learn it because I wanted her to realize how hard these guys physically work, because I wanted her to appreciate it, and she does.
Yeah, no, those are good points there.
Yeah.
The other thing is, one last thing is let me pull up my notes again, is that he was talking about, this was in chapter 8, he's on steroids or some time just going, but they'd have this retreat and they'd work till 3 a.m. And I go, very few of the generation wants to do anything like that. They'll party and stuff, it seems like, but to actually physically work and stuff, they're not into that. And to have that, but even he only has a certain amount that's in his inner circle too.
Yeah.
That does that. Otherwise, the other people are 8 to 5s or they're part of that 459 club.
Exactly. Man, if you haven't read it yet or listened to it, the newest biography of Elon Musk is really good. And this is the third one that I've read or listened to. But I really like this one because it's pretty, it starts from the beginning and it goes all the way up until he buys halfway through after buying Twitter. But he's a workaholic maniac on the floor, doing the hands-on, working 20 hours. And then, he'll work till he can't work anymore, and he'll have a pillow and just lay underneath one of the desks and sleep for 1 or 2 hours, get up, and he's right back on the assembly line, fixing stuff. He's a maniac, but he doesn't ask anybody to do something that he can't do or hasn't already done. And that's why he gets so many of these people to work for him and stick it out, because he's not just delegating it. He's full on. He's all in. I mean, to where I don't think I could work for him, because he's like, he does it, man. He's there. It's like, you can't say anything because he's the one on the freaking floor at the conveyor belt, putting these pieces together, trying to figure it out. And he's there for hours. Like, I'm talking, man, he'll be there for months until it gets worked out.
Right. Yeah.
So, hey, so next week is the last 2 chapters. What is it, 10 and 11? And then hopefully I'll get with the guys, send out like a little text message, email, whatever, messenger, to where maybe we can write down some stuff, three things that we're definitely going to put into place and practice that we took from the book.
Yeah.
All right, Glenn, and I'll give you the last word, Glenn. What do you want to say before we get out of here?
I think you mentioned it, but you got to just keep persevering, and that's the difference. No matter what this is or the next thing is, you got to persevere, because 90% of the people don't. They'll quit. And the goal is just one more strike away.
Yep. Perfect. All right, man. I appreciate it. Thanks, Glenn. Have a great week, and I'll talk to you. See you next weekend.
All right.
All right, buddy. Bye.